Greetings, my friend. Welcome to day 20 here in the 24 days of building beautiful strength. I'm Matt Schifferly, and in yesterday's video, I talked about the importance of stimulating hypertrophy, which gives your body a lot of its shape and contours in the pursuit of developing your more aesthetic physique. But there's a big reason why a lot of people don't do this, even though they seemingly make great success in their workouts. It's because they're going after their training in completely the bass-ackwards way that actually makes it a lot harder to create that stimulus. And this is a lesson I learned again from my bike racing days, where when I was out on my bicycle training and just trying to work out, I had this law that I kind of had in the back of my head where I was always riding my bike in the big ring, in the big gears up front, right? I'm always grinding up the hills and grinding because it basically made my body work really, really hard. And that's what I was seeking when I was out on my rides. It's like, I don't care how fast I am. I don't care what I do for endurance or anything. I just want to work my body really, really hard, which was very effective for that. But when I carried that attitude into bike racing, I wasn't doing very well, and all of my teammates and coaches were like, dude, you are going about this completely wrong. You want to draft behind people. You want to be using an easier gear. You want to be basically taking it as easy as you can on the bike, so that way you have energy, especially for endurance, and for those times when you've got to like sprint for the finish line. So the lesson essentially was, as an athlete, you need efficiency to achieve the fundamental objectives to excel at the sport. But unfortunately, a lot of people, when it comes to their workouts and they're trying to build muscle, train like athletes, where they're trying to become more efficient. And that's great if your goal is to be able to do a gazillion push-ups, lift a much heavier weight, or finally get a couple of techniques like a muscle up or a front lever. Efficiency is going to help you get those things. But unfortunately, when it comes to trying to stimulate hypertrophy, efficiency is kind of the enemy. We don't want efficiency. We want to make things hard on ourselves, which ironically makes it easier to challenge your work capacity and therefore stimulate hypertrophy. But a lot of people don't like to embrace inefficiency because it means your ego numbers are going to go down. You're not going to get nearly as many repetitions. You're not going to lift nearly as much weight. And you're probably going to find that it's like, oh man, I used to be able to do like one-arm pull-ups, and now I'm really challenging myself with even seated pull-ups. But this is why in building beautiful strength, it's so important to get a clear perspective on what your objective really is. Because you don't want to go after one objective hoping that you're just going to somehow magically, by correlation, achieve another one. Can you build muscle striving to do 1,000 push-ups a day and 20 muscle ups and all that sort of thing? Absolutely. But it's a lot easier to get what you want when you go after an objective in a much more direct fashion, rather than this sort of correlation, get in the general ballpark kind of idea. Because not only does it ensure with a more direct approach that you're more likely to get what you want, you're going to get more of the result you want, and you're going to get it a hell of a lot faster. So the practical takeaway is, how can you make your training less efficient on the muscle? How do you make it harder? Using bigger range of motion, for example. You're making sure that your muscles are proactively contracted, so that way they're not putting in the minimum amount of tension, but really make sure they're engaged to a high degree. Utilizing technical differences, like if you're doing push-ups, squeezing everything in nice and tight and close in versus having the elbows flare out. Look for these kind of energy leaks, if you will, when you're doing your techniques. If you seek difficulty in the techniques, if you're just in your mind saying like, how do I make this much harder on the muscle? Then you're going to find you can't lift as much weight, you can't do as many reps, you're not going to do as much volume, but that's a good thing because you're making it harder and less efficient on the muscle, which is going to create that burnout a lot more reliably and effectively, therefore creating a much more reliable and effective stimulus for hypertrophy, one workout after the next. We still have 4 more days here in the Beautiful Strength Challenge, and I got a special surprise for you at the very end on December 24th, so make sure you're subscribed, notifications so you don't miss that video, and I'll see you in tomorrow's episode as well. Till then, be fit and live free.